Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Small Business Series on the Success Insight podcast. The Small Business Series celebrates founders and owners of small businesses and the professionals working there to deliver exceptional products and services. Our guests today are Gene Cimorelli and Eddie Rodriguez from First Choice Tree Service. First Choice Tree Service is proudly celebrating over 30 years of service to the Las Vegas Valley. Gene is a Senior V.P. and General Manager. His responsibilities include sales as well as business and crew development. He is considered an expert in fuel reduction of Southern Nevada mountain ranges, working closely with the Nevada Division of Forestry and the U.S. Department of Forestry. He is a member of the Southern Nevada Arborist Group and the Western chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture. Now, Eddie is a senior arborist and sales manager. He has over 20 years experience. He is a certified arborist and holds a Tree Risk Assessment Qualification from the International Society of Arboriculture. First Choice Tree Service offers a wide variety of services, including residential and commercial tree care, around-the-clock emergency services, landscape design and transplant services, as well as plant health care and grounds management services. They're also licensed by the state of California Contractors Board and are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Eddie and Gene, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. And for our listeners, this is actually a first for us. We are on location at First Choice Tree Service here in Nevada. They have a wonderful location, equipment. There are trees. There are people moving around, working. There's ambient noises, and there's even a little bit of wildlife around us, flying around us. But because we've had a lot of rain here in Southern Nevada, but we're going to push through this because these guys work in some very harsh conditions sometimes, and I know they are trained to push through and get the job done. So we're going to do that today as well. Guys, it's a pleasure to have you both. Before we get started, kind of talking more about First Choice Tree Service, what I'd love to hear from you guys is a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today. So, Gene, give us that 30,000-foot view.
I was born here in Las Vegas in 1965, and I actually lived behind, or Tony, the owner of First Choice, lived behind me. We grew up together, and at the age of 8, I started mowing lawns with him. And then we stuck together for years. Of course, I did some things off and on. And then I graduated from Bishop Gorman, walked on UNLV, got a football scholarship, got my degree in science education, and was still in the field. We started with landscaping, got into trees, and then I started climbing and doing all that fun stuff. So I've been with Tony over 40 years.
40 years. I mean, you don't look that old. I mean, you look like you just got out of grad school or something like that.
I'm 56 years old, and I'm loving life.
I love that. I love that. Eddie, how about you?
I was born and raised in Southern California. I got into the tree business when I was very young. I was such a bad kid that my mother used to chase me around to try to catch me, to spank me, and I would run and I would jump and climb up in the trees. And so that's how I got started climbing trees, and got really good and proficient at it, But all seriousness, I started out in the city of Santa Ana, and that's where I got introduced to doing tree work, and had a person that was in the industry for a long time begin to teach me. And from that point on, I started to learn and take classes and read books and further myself in this business. I wanted to become a good all-around tree guy, and I believe that's what I accomplished. And then I eventually ended up here at First Choice Tree Service, working with Gene and Tony and everybody here, and I've been here since about 2005.
Okay. Now, I heard a rumor you guys are related. You just like yanking my chain here?
Brothers from another mother.
Yeah. No, it's true. We're brothers, and actually, I look up to him sometimes, and but I still kind of hold a grudge because he was born first and he took all the nutrients from me, which you can see clearly. He's much bigger than I am. So
he's packing some things on those arms.
Yeah, he's packing the muscles on the arms. And so I'm not, sometimes I like him and sometimes I don't. But no, we've been friends for a very long time, and people feel we have such a good relationship that people really ask us, are you guys brothers?
Yeah.
Are you guys family?
My family loves him. I mean, just like I do. I mean, I call him Mr. Encyclopedia of Arboriculture. But it's just a bond that we have, and we're the dynamic duo. That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Gene, tell us a little bit more about First Choice Tree Service. I mean, you're well known throughout the state of Nevada, obviously in California, but I do see your trucks. I've even seen you guys come to the rescue out in Boulder City for the spring jamboree when we had a windy day and all of a sudden there's a tree issue potentially happening and you guys showed up. So you guys are doing a lot. You got a reputation here in Nevada, especially Southern Nevada, but give us more of a big picture about what are the products and services that you provide?
Products and services. That's a big question here. I mean, you look at the size of our company. We're the largest tree company in the state of Nevada. We do transplanting. We do plant health care, tree removal, tree trimming, palm trimming. As you can see probably in the background, you see them dumping basically wood chips in the back of a truck. We don't take that to the dump. We usually get that processed with the Southern Nevada. I can't think of it right now.
We work with a lot of orchards and different communities, and we even go as far as Pahrump to drop chips off at some wineries and things like that. Just all over the valley.
The Quabbra extension. That's what I was trying to figure out there.
Excellent. See, I can tell now why you're related because you're finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is good. This is good. This is important. And when I moved out to the desert 2 years ago, I grew up in the Midwest. I'm used to seeing trees. Got out to the desert, I'm used to seeing sand and hike in mountains and rocks. And frankly, it surprised me that there were palm trees out here. First thing I have to ask, are palm trees native to Southern Nevada?
There has to be some kind of creek or stream in the desert, which there are areas like that. If you look at Warm Springs in Logandale and you have a stream running through it, you're going to find just naturally grown palm trees all throughout. There are thousands of them. So there's got to be some water associated with it. But yes, they can exist, and they thrive and do well in the desert environment.
Okay. Now, a question that I have, and I want to talk more about the water situation we're having here, throughout the West, especially Nevada, Southern Nevada. Are palm trees an ideal plant to put into someone's home, someone's community? I mean, obviously we're in Nevada. Just down the road is the Strip and these magnificent casinos, which I know you guys support those casinos and all the arboriculture work that's going on there. But are palm trees, are they, so let's say, adding value to the environment and to the situations we're having, or are they takers?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that, because palm trees are really, we consider them to be a very high maintenance plant. They actually use the most water than any other plant we have out there, and they do very little for the environment as far as carbon sequestering, pulling out carbons from the air and making oxygen. They do very little for our atmosphere, and they use the most water, and they grow really fast. And it's a great question, and that the cities are now addressing and looking at, and they're starting to remove them from the landscape, especially in this environment right now when water is an issue and we don't have much of it. we're starting to pull those out of the landscape and not planting them as much anymore because of their high water use and what they do for the environment was very little.
Okay, great. I think that is so important, especially today, because you can't even turn on the internet news or go out to YouTube with somebody producing a video about everything that's wrong, and that's why I love being here today with you guys, because when you get past, everybody has an opinion of something. If somebody wants door number 1, somebody wants door number 2. But what I love about First Choice Tree Service is you're going to help your customer figure out is there a door number 3? Is there an alternative that's going to be even better? And I love that. I would like to hear more. I mean, speaking of hearing more, I mean, there's some trucks going behind us. That's cool. Good ambient sound. I imagine there's a lot of development of the team because across a variety of different skill sets. And can you talk us a little bit about the staff structure and how you develop your employees, your team?
How we develop our employees is, so let's say we start from the ground. So we bring in a gentleman or even a woman to come work here at First Choice. So we start them from the ground up. So dragging brush, coming in there, teaching them and training them on all the equipment. I mean, that's priority one. You can't just put people on equipment and let them, work. We educate them in that way, they process and become a climber. So let's say a climber comes into our business and says, hey, I'm a climber, I want to work. We process, we go through a strategic plan on making sure that he can do what he has to do, but we also want to put him at the ground level first. Where everybody else started, he needs to start it too, to show us that he can do what they can do. Those things like that. It's the same thing in our office, marketing and everything like that. It strategically, we have to sit down and because right now it's so hard to find good help. Mm-hmm. And as we grow, we need more employees. So our process is strict. We're open to people and people that not even knowing anything about this. We will train them and take care of them.
Okay.
People always want to know about First Choice and what we're doing here. And one of the things that our owner has tried to do is go out and hire the best employees, the most skilled employees, to hire the right people to do the right job. He's looking to bring our very best to our customers. And he not only does he hire the best employees, he gives them the best equipment, he gives them the best tools, and we try to provide the best training and education as we possibly can. So it's something that my owner feels very strongly about, and that he is willing to invest in his company and his employees so that we could give our customers our very best.
Well said.
Very good. And I'm curious, as far as the staff is concerned, and as I was reading the introduction, this idea of being a certified arborist, and I was looking on the website, you have a lot of certified arborists. Why is that important?
It says when you go out and you attain this credential, and this credential has been established by our industry, which is the International Society of Arboriculture. Well, what they did was they put together a credential that says basically, hey, this person has been trained and qualified and educated in these different areas of tree care. And basically it covers every area of the tree care industry. So having that credential and having those qualifications, be able to say, hey, we are not just talking about it, but we do have a real understanding of it. And people are educated and know what they're talking about when it comes to trees. So we just don't go out to properties and do assessments and give opinions and do consultations without having the right credentials and the right education and training behind it. Okay. As well as experience plays into that as well.
And I would imagine that type of credential, not just from the owner, not just from you or Eugene, Eddie, it is important for the customer or even, we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of the work you do at the state level. Okay. But I would imagine in order to get projects with major organizations, perhaps like the corporations that run the strip casinos, and even more important, the government agencies who are looking for your expertise, having those certifications are essential, I would imagine.
I believe that's exactly correct. As a matter of fact, that is why the city of Las Vegas, city of Henderson, Clark County, why they choose to do business with First Choice Tree Service is because, not only because of our experience, but because we are credentialed and we have different credentialing throughout the company.
Sure.
Whereas like Gene's got an OSHA 30 certification and I don't. And so when it comes to safety, that's really important when we get down working on the strip. It's required that we have that certification, that credential. And so we complement each other in our company. And we all have different certifications that really make us such a great team.
Okay. Given the crisis, or maybe there's another word for it. There's a big issue here with water, and government at the state, regional, local level are looking for initiatives, rules, regulations to rethink how we put any type of material down or grow a plant that is using water, for the sake of better words, taken away but not giving back. What are some of the initiatives that are going on at the state, perhaps regional, local levels, that you can share with us?
Well, our state is the first of 3 or 4 states that have jumped on this and are doing their best to save the water for our community. And a big thing for us is, it's not like here in like California, you got the humidity, good soil, everything. I mean, we're in the desert, so we have to come up with the good solutions to be able to protect our landscape. Trees provide shade. That's, for me, the trees are the most important and the most expensive part of your landscape. You know, they not only provide shade and everything, but they provide oxygen. And Mr. Encyclopedia can go over that a little more with you. But it's so important that we do it right, because the heat index, when you have you're 110 out and the ground is 120, 130 degrees, and then you have rock on top of it and everything, you've got to be real smart on how you irrigate all that landscape. And you've got to maintain that irrigation every year. It should be checked for leaks and everything. You know, it's following the state level, the AB 356. It's important that it's not for residentials right now, but it's until 2017 that all these commercial places will have to get rid of their grass and go desert to help protect our water source.
And that's really how it all started out, was Colorado, where we get most of our water from, said that if you cannot use our water, you cannot use it for non-recreational events, or you cannot use it for non-functional turf. If you're going to use our water, it's got to be purely for drinking or for recreational activities. And so this is how this all got started and all got kicked off. Was legislation was passed saying we're going to require that all non-functional turf and non-residential turf areas remove their turf by the year 2027. And what this did was kind of send a message to us. Okay, we're going to start removing turf. That means we're going to be removing water. And so the whole idea was to save water.
Mm-hmm.
And what we got really interested in it was because of how that was going to impact trees later on.
What are some of the active initiatives that you are working on to help your clients? So again, either at the government level, at the corporate level and even at the more residential level, what are some of those initiatives going in for these new projects you're working on?
A lot of, go ahead, Ed.
No,
Go ahead. Please.
No, I was just going to
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to say, Eddie, go first.
Mm-hmm.
Gene, you're next.
See, Big Brother tried to push me. Yeah. I'm going first.
By the way, this is going to be in the podcast. I don't cut this stuff out.
Good.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay. Education. That, first and foremost, is what First Choice is about. We need to educate all our clients, whether it's commercial, resident, everything, especially with the trees. Well, the trees are the biggest thing. Irrigating patterns. The structure basically is you have a tree. If you look at a tree and you're under the canopy and you look at the edge of the canopies, that's where the water intake is, not under the tree. But when anything is ever done on re-landscaping, taking out the turf and doing that, you need to make sure the watering starts right away on those trees. I mean, it's got to be a grid, and which is a lot of things we use NetFM. A lot of people use the drip. We prefer NetFM because it's equal distribution. Every foot, every 12 inches, every 18 inches is a little hole in it, and it bleeds it out. But you want that pattern like the grass is still there. Mm-hmm. You know, that's going to hopefully help the tree. But a lot of times you won't see the symptoms until 2 to 3 years later because of the humidity it used to have with the grass in it and everything. So it's got to be monitored. It's got to be taken care of.
So what we try to do is, like Gene said, we're trying to educate our customers. Every chance we get and every opportunity we get to get in front of people, we like to talk to them about their landscape and different things that they can do to help save water. Really what Water Smart is basically being water efficient. So we do talk about ways that they could set up their irrigation differently or use Water Smart clocks and things like that to be more efficient with their water and their water use. Or do you have too many plantings? I think we went to a community, we sat down with them, they wanted to do a landscape. They didn't know what to do. And the first thing you could do is remove about 50% of your landscape and still have the desired effect that you want. So we encourage people to hire people like us, qualified arborists, to come out and talk to them about what you can do to make things more water efficient and still have the desired look or effect that you're looking for. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of people want the Disneyland look. You go to Disneyland, you see all the flowers, but that's just not real in this time here in this state with the drought that we're in. And I mean, you've heard that the lake is falling, the lake is going down. One of the things that I did was ask Gene not to drink out of the lake anymore because every time he does, it drops down a foot. And so
he's a big guy. He takes out a lot of water.
I did. I'm still waiting to see if the state's going to pay me back for helping them save at least a foot a year on that, but I haven't heard back from them.
Eddie, Gene's next.
Okay.
In the Q&A, just so you know that. So one thing I get from this conversation with you guys, there's a lot of passion here. And you've been at this for a while. I mean, you started cutting grass with the boss. You came here, and I've heard stories of you climbing trees. It's not an easy job. It can be, death-defying sometimes. But yet you're back here day after day. You are in the arena getting dirty, sweaty, and bloody. Well, hopefully not bloody. But you're in the arena, okay? And it's sometimes for folks like me who are not in the arena, and we look at you guys like, oh, it's the tree guy. And we don't think anything else besides that. But you guys are in the arena. What makes this work so passionate for you? And Gene, let's start with you.
I don't know. No.
Working with Eddie, I know.
I'll give him about maybe 75% of that.
Okay.
But no, it is. It's a pleasure working with Eddie. I mean, because when we go on site and we look at properties, we talk to the individual, the homeowner, or executives from corporations. we looked at the vast of everything. It's not just one person going in and saying, hey, you know what, you need to do this and that. We already go through everything we need to break it down to come up with one simple suggestion or how we can take care of it and save them money. Because that's the big thing out here. I mean, come on, everybody wants to save money, but like we look at it, you have price and you have cost. Well, you're high and you're low, but it costs you in the end because it wasn't done correctly the first time. And we try to educate people that insurance is everything like that. That's a gimme. Just to have a guy come out with a truck to climb a tree, if you fall, you're responsible. Did you check to see if he's got insurance? Well, somebody's going to have to pay for that insurance. I mean, why do you have insurance for your car? Why do you have insurance for your home? Those are important things we try to educate our clients with. And I mean, I know he's fallen. I've fallen 30 feet and I've walked away. Thank the Lord. And I thank him every day for that. It's a scary thing. Tree service, whether it's removal, climbing, anything, it's a risk. It's a high risk. That's why we pay high insurance more than most of the companies out here. But we protect our clients and we look at what's important, how we can educate. Educating is the biggest thing. If you can't educate your client, you shouldn't be in this business.
Yeah, I think that me and Gene are very passionate about what we do because we love what we do. We generally care and love what we do. We love coming here. It's not really a job. And what we've learned is that we can affect change everywhere we go. We have the ability or the opportunity to change the way people look at things, to how they look at trees, how they look at the environment. And the fact that we could come in here every day and we get paid and to have that opportunity to be able to speak to people about this, and they begin to realize just how much it means to us, how much we care about it. And that's what, who wants to do this? Who wants to come in, climb a tree? He's getting bit by spiders, stung by bees, bit by scorpions. I mean, there's so many different things that half the time you're eating sawdust in your mouth and you come up with cuts and bruises and we're like, let's do this again. Let's do it. I can't wait to do it again tomorrow. And so to be able to have that ability to do what you love, there's nothing like it. You can't put a price on that. And
I know this is hard work, but as you were describing that, I'm thinking going back to being a kid again and in the trees that were in our backyard and your parents kicking you out of the house, get out of the house, go play, don't come back until dinner time. We can't do that much anymore. But when we were near each other's ages, so that was what it was like for us. And thinking, God, you guys get to go play in the trees for a living. How cool is that? And you get some pretty cool toys out there as well.
Yeah.
I love that. One of the segments I have for my podcast is called the aha moment. And we spoke already about the passion, why you guys are doing what you're doing, whether it's the people serving the customer experience, and really having folks that are on your team that are passionate about what they do. But as you guys look back on your careers here, what has been your aha moment? Like, oh my God, I get to do this and I can see the impact it has had not only on my life, but in the work that I do. Gene, let's start with you.
I'll be honest, just when Eddie left for a month and I didn't have to deal with him. No, I'm joking. but Eddie and I basically, I would have to say it was Nevada Division of Forestry, doing a lot of work for them, helping the firefighters survive these fires. I mean, it's like a wall. So what we would do is we'd go do defensible space. We'd get a call, and could have been in Ely, could have been in was it Kyle Canyon, Lee Canyon, and everybody thinks, oh, we don't have a forest here. We do. Our forest is very unique. We only have one way in and one way out, where most forests you go right through. And we would be able to go in there. We'd have to make sure we wouldn't disturb the erosion for when the snow would fall, because if you keep making ruts in it, avalanches could happen. I mean, we had to do defensible space. I mean, we'd go out in the middle of Ely in the desert and everything and do defensible space. And I'm talking about 20-foot centers, So from here, 20 feet, and taking all the underbrush, so when the fire comes, they can get in there and fight it. They don't get trapped. That's the biggest thing. These people are fighting for us to protect our forests every day. And it was such a pleasure to be able to do the work for them and take care of the things we needed to take care of.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's so true. When we walked away from one of our last jobs with the forestry, doing fuel reduction, and it wasn't, it's not always the funnest work. It's hot out there. It's dirty. A lot of these understory bushes have thorns and things like that. And there were times where we spend weeks and months out there, and then to come back and when leave that, look at it, tired, and like, wow, we really did a good job. Does anybody know that we did this? And then to see the fires happen, and then see homes not get touched, that we played a part in saving a community and people's livelihoods, and help provide some sort of safety for the firemen, so they didn't have these big fires. That we really helped cut down on all the fuel reduction. Really felt really good. It felt like we were accomplishing something, and we were doing something and making an impact.
Howard, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Real quick. The most important thing that I could say that Eddie and we will not put any of our workers in a situation that we haven't already been in. When we're going up there and shipowing and looking all the forest, and we'd have to walk. I mean, sometimes we would fall and roll down the hill, but we would figure out how are we going to rope them in, make sure they're safe, make sure also we don't create those ruts. That's important when you work for a company or own a company. You know what? You don't want to put these guys in a situation where you haven't been in yourself, because then they can trust you. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing about taking care of your employees, is the trust.
Yeah, definitely. I published a podcast today. So the day you and I, the three of us, are having this conversation, I published a podcast with a gentleman who his work is whale disentanglement for the Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary out in Hawaii. And as you were sharing about this, both of you, I'm thinking, okay, I've heard about the marine aspect of making this difference and why it's so important, and the impact. In this case, the impact is on the animal, but also keeping your folks safe. And I love how you just shared that today about working with the Forest Service, because I'm a city boy. I'm an urban boy. I read about forest fires, hurricanes, floods, and I don't know what goes into managing that. And I love the fact that you have just gifted us some more insight about, let's not just drop in a bunch of firefighters into an area to fight a fire. There's a plan in place. And you just shared First Choice Tree Service is a part of that plan. Your team, your highly qualified team, are going in there knowing that they have a job to do, but knowing they're safe and they can trust that you guys are going to help take care of them as well. So I love that. You've gifted our audience that too. And that, I think, is really important. And it's also a testament to your reputation here in Nevada.
Such a great point. And I'll be honest with you, we do that really on a daily basis. Every day we're consulting with someone and we're talking to them about tree issues, things that are unsafe, high risk things that are going on that nobody knows about or nobody sees. You go to these casinos each and every day, these resorts, and you go there and you have a good time. You spend a lot of money and you walk around the place and you go, ooh, and not knowing that just before you got there that morning at 3:00 in the morning, we were shaving the ball down so that it wouldn't fail or fall on someone. We were removing dead hangers out of trees, and we're constantly doing things that nobody knows about on a daily basis. And we we know about it, and we tell each other, well, what a great job. But these are things that go unseen all the time. And that's one of the reasons why we just love coming here and doing that every single day, day in, day out. It's not really even a job. It's what we love to do.
Sure. And that's what I love about the podcast, for example, is I get to have great conversations. I get to learn something new. Excuse me. I get to learn something new and share that. And That to me is the beauty of this is I'm going to go away from this. I'm going to produce this episode, share it, but I'll know I've learned something new, and I can either bring somebody else in to continue the conversation or send them to you to have the conversation if they need your help. Before we head out, and our last segment is called the Insight to Go, and I'd like to give you both an opportunity to share with our audience some insight you have about the work that you do that you want to share with them so they can take away, build on what we just chatted about. That in itself was also an aha moment and an insight. But what else would you like to share with our audience? That could be a book, a quote, somebody who has deeply impacted you and the work that you're doing that you think, I want to share this with our listeners. What would that be, Gene?
Educating yourself on your plant and tree material in your yard. And I know everybody is always busy, this and that. And most of the time, they're not looking up. They're not looking at their trees. They come home and this and that, and then weeks go by and they look up and their tree's dead because maybe it wasn't watered, or maybe their gardener didn't check the irrigation or something like that. It's important to truly look at your vegetation around your home, and thank God it's there. It's beautiful. It's for your shade your house, help you on your power bill, all that. But I think that's most important to me because it starts at home. I don't live in your house. I don't live on your property. But give us a call. We'll come out. We have no problem coming out, one of us or one of our team, taking a look and assessing to see what needs to be done there to help protect your trees and your landscape.
Could you share that quote with them that you usually, that thing you like to talk about? It takes a lifetime to...
Yeah, it takes a lifetime to grow a tree and 10 minutes to ruin it.
There's a quote, I think it was Warren Buffett, it takes a lifetime to build trust, and it takes just a split second to ruin it. So I love that.
And so I would say it's very important when you're over the next 3 to 4 years, as these water restrictions are kicking in and we're doing these turf removals all over the valley, that before you go out and have a company come in and do a conversion on your property or remove some turf, we believe that you should really call a qualified arborist to come in. Call us, have us come to your house. Let us talk to you about the impacts of what that is and how it will affect your trees. Let us talk to you about what you can do to protect your trees. We want trees to be here for a long time. We don't want to see tree loss. And one of the things that's being talked about right now is how many trees we're going to lose once this turf removal starts to occur all over the valley. We're going to help you not lose your trees. We're going to help you preserve them and keep them so that you have them for a long time. So call a qualified arborist to come out and consult with you about this so that we can help you minimize the impacts that are from that kind of work being done on your property. Because we believe that you need to do whatever it takes to make sure that the trees won't die. They're too important. They're too valuable. They do too much and they provide too much for us in our environment that we cannot lose trees. We have to have.
Give them the reason why trees are so important, please.
Well, obviously, I remember we talked at other podcasts where we talked about carbon sequestering, about what they do for our environment, how they pull the carbons out of the air and how they turn those carbons into useful things like oxygen, right? We sort of have to breathe, right? Like if I was Aquaman, then I would have no problem being in the water and out of the water and breathing, but we're not. So we need trees. They also change the way we look at things in life. When we come out and we get around trees, they change our environment. They help us to feel better. They say that people actually heal faster in hospitals when there's a tree just outside of their window, when they could see a tree, there's actually been studies on it that it actually helps improve their healing process and helps them get better faster by having a tree just outside of their anything green. So it's definitely important that we try to preserve our trees in any way that we possibly can. And me and Gene are more than happy to come out and talk to you about it and see what we can do to help you in your residence or your establishment or wherever it might be. We're always willing to go to the ends of the earth to meet with people about it because we're that passionate about it.
I love it. I love it. Before we head out, I want to make sure we have shared with our listeners the best ways to get a hold and touch with someone at First Choice Tree Service. I know you've got a fantastic website. Gene, where should our listeners go?
You can contact us directly at 702-564-1998. You can also call my cell phone, 702-604-4675.
All right.
And then you can find us, of course, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Of course, we have our website and different things like that. And then, like you said, you can call the office, and we have many arborists. We have people that are well versed in landscape construction, enhancements, and in plant health care. We have so many different credentialing across the board. And that's why I'm so happy that we got to come here today. So you could see all the things that we're doing. People hear the word or the name First Choice, and then once they get here, they realize that it's a much bigger thing going on here. There's much more happening with First Choice, and there's more to them than just trimming a palm tree.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, it has been a pleasure to have you both on the Small Business Series on the Success Inside podcast. Gene, thank you for taking time and being open to this. I'm glad. I think this is podcast number 2 for you. Hopefully the first of many more. And Eddie, you are a pro at this. For our listeners, I met Eddie out in Boulder City. The Boulder City Chamber of Commerce has their podcast, The Best Damn Podcast.
Absolutely.
And Eddie did a fantastic job. He was out there with his associate, John Arroyo, and that's how I met these guys. And I had a chance to come here and see the facility. And then, again, just given all the news that's going on, I thought, well, I really need to hear what the truth is, okay? And I appreciate, again, you guys taking the time. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and can't wait to see you again.
Fantastic. Now, we will most definitely provide the back notes to the website and to your social sites. Gene, we've got the phone numbers that you shared. If you're really okay, we'll put those on the show notes. But folks, if you're in Southern Nevada or you want to visit and buy a home in Nevada, and have a landscape and trees, these are the guys that you want to chat with. So a lot of great information today on the podcast. We learned not only about First Choice, the range of work that they do, the attention to detail, the development, and the importance of keeping the staff safe when they're out on the job. This is not an easy job. I need to lose about 50 pounds, and I'm thinking I may ask Gene for a part-time job. But this is not easy stuff. But you can gather from them how passionate they are about the work that they do. And that's what's important. And that's what we hope to have come out of episodes like this, where we can go on site and talk to the professionals, the owners, about the work that they do. Now, again, we're going to put the website links on our show notes, as well as you're going to be able to find this episode on our website, successinsidepodcast.com. We'll also have the episode published on LinkedIn and on Facebook. There's probably going to be about a 10-minute get-to-know video up on YouTube. And, of course, you can find us on all of the podcast directories. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. And we look forward to having you Join us on another episode of the Success Insight Podcast. Take care now.